Hey, and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and I'm the founder of Fitness Uncharted, which is my fitness and nutrition coaching company that I designed for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, optimize your metabolism, and have complete food freedom. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some home gym equipment and the first items that I would buy if you are looking to build or amp up your home gym or your garage gym. If you are my home workout ladies, this is for you. I actually have been ramping up my own home gym because I'm doing more home workouts with my baby boy Ryder at home. And it's just more realistic, more convenient. If you're a mom, you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. It's just more realistic than getting to the gym in this season of life. I personally am an avid gym goer and fan. Like, I prefer the gym as far as motivation and it's just kind of something almost like nice in my routine to like get out of the house. I work from home for myself. So it's like a lot of time spent in my own home. It's just kind of nice. Like, it was just a part of my, I don't know, my morning routine to like go out, go to the gym, and come back home for the day. So I enjoyed it. I liked it, but it's just not as realistic right now in this season of life. So I am amping up my home gym, and I already had a good bit of equipment as far as dumbbells and some things like that, but really adding more to that. And I've been sharing some of that on social media. And this was a much requested episode. So many requesters. Just kidding. I will say I probably two or three of you guys actually specifically asked for me to create a podcast episode about this. But it wasn't like I was, getting my door beat down with requests for it. But also, a lot of you have commented on social media like, "Oh, what equipment is that?" Or, "Ooh, like I really want one of those." Or, "Oh, can you send me the link for that?" So I was like, let me go ahead and create a podcast episode sharing with you guys what I personally have in my home gym and how I would order what you purchase for your home gym equipment. Like, literally, if you were a client of mine, this is how I would tell you, like, hey, order of business. This is what I would get first. This is what I would get second. And this is what I would get third, fourth, fifth. So that's what this episode will be. So let's jump on into it. And when you're shopping around, I'm going to share the first items that I would buy, but I would recommend shopping Amazon, Walmart, and Facebook Marketplace as like super simple go-tos that everyone should have access to or in your area. Is Amazon, Walmart, and Facebook Marketplace for the most cost effective. But I'm sure, in your area, you might have even like a local gym equipment shop or other random stores, or even locally people selling stuff. So like, do whatever you want to do to find the best deals for the best equipment. But those are the three that I have used the most myself, as Amazon, Walmart, and Facebook Marketplace. I do also have an Amazon storefront with all of my gym equipment listed for you guys so you can visually see what I'm talking about. And disclaimer, I do get a commission if you purchase something through that link, but I truly don't care if you buy from there or not. I will include the link in the show notes to be helpful for you so you can visually see what I'm talking about and you can go shop around from that. But if you buy through my Amazon storefront, cool, awesome. But I would recommend shopping around to find the best deals, and you may even be even able to find some stuff locally as well, like I mentioned. So this is just more so, the Amazon link is more so to show you what you want to be looking for or what I would recommend looking for. And then you can kind of go find, similar items wherever you're at. So with that being said, the first thing that I would purchase is dumbbells. If you are just getting started, if you've been in the game a while, whatever, buy some dumbbells and then start increasing the weights that you have, the different weight sets that you have as you are getting stronger and as your budget allows. So you could get dumbbells if you're just starting out. You could get just the adjustable dumbbell set. I have this linked in my Amazon storefront as well, just to show you, where basically it's like one set of dumbbells that they're adjustable, so you can add, increase or decrease the weight of each dumbbell. Or you could do like a weight set. So weights ranging from, like, I would recommend from 5 pounds up through 25 pounds in increments of five. Like, that's what I would start out at. So like maybe a pair of fives a pair of 10s, a pair of 15s, 20s, and 25s would be a great starting point. And my personal preference is separate sets versus the adjustable dumbbells. I have had some clients and other ladies ask me like what I think of the adjustable dumbbells, and I think they're great as an option. I personally would also want some other dumbbell sets so that I don't have to keep adjusting them. But personally, I like to do a lot of supersets and things like that. So it's just not as fun to have to keep adjusting the weight over and over. But I think they can be a really great and feasible option. So I did list those in the Amazon link for you guys to see those. But I would recommend, if you can, get the dumbbell set range and doing 5 pound increments, and then as you're getting stronger, then you can keep adding to those sets. That you can get a pair of 30s, a pair of 40-pound dumbbells, etc. Especially for lower body, you're going to end up wanting more weight, but we'll talk more about that with the barbells too. So then continue to add like those heavier sets as your budget allows and as you need more challenge. So if you could get 5 through 25-pound dumbbells, that's a really great starting point. And I have some ladies who maybe start out and they're like, I only have up through like 10-pound or 15-pound dumbbells. Is that enough? I usually recommend to them like, hey, I probably would go and get you a pair of like 25-pound dumbbells and maybe even like a 40-pound or 50-pound dumbbell or kettlebell. That's another option too to throw in there. But I personally prefer, if you're going to go for a heavier weight, I would prefer getting like a set of 50-pound dumbbells versus one 50-pound kettlebell. That's just me. And for the kind of exercises and workouts I do, but that's another option too. So you might want some heavier weights, especially for some of those lower body movements. But as your budget allows, add more weight to your repertoire, but just know that you're paying per pound when you're buying weights. So obviously the heavier weights are going to be more expensive, right? So you can do that. And then also one thing that's really cool is they have these weight clips that are really helpful. They range from like 1.25 pound to I think like a 2.5 pound weight clip. And what you can do with it is you can actually like open the clip up and put it around the dumbbell handle, and you put one on each side of the dumbbell handle. And then it can turn, like a 15-pound weight or 15-pound dumbbell. If you put two of these 1.25 pound weight plates on the dumbbell handle, then it turns that 15-pound dumbbell into like a 17 and a half dumbbell. So it's really great, especially for progressive overload. If you're in between weights, that's like super, super helpful. So whether you're like, oh, I'm like, maybe you're doing bicep curls and you're like, well, the 15 pounds aren't quite challenging enough anymore, but 20 pounds, I can't really do many reps with good form. Perfect. Throw on, two of those weight plates on the dumbbell handles, and then you can curl with 17.5 pound dumbbells. So it's really helpful for that. And then also it's just another way to increase the weight and have more weight ranges of dumbbells without having to buy completely different dumbbells, because they do sell, like 22 and a half or like a 17.5 pound dumbbell, etc. But who wants all of those dumbbells anyway in your house or having to find space for them? So the clips come in super handy for both of those reasons. And I think I might have some that I can link on my Amazon page. So I will do that so you can see them. But again, even for those, there's a bunch of different brands. You can shop around for those too. They're really helpful to have on hand. Another one is, of course, bands are super helpful and pretty inexpensive. So a lot of women I talk to, they're like, oh, I have some bands at home. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's also really helpful in addition to your dumbbells. So I would recommend like a thick hip band for side steps, and then like hip abduction work, and then also long bands for pull-up assistance. And you can do a bunch of exercises with the long, stretchier bands, like rows, or you can do band pull-aparts, all kinds of things. And then also resistance bands with the D handles. So the handle actually, it's like, looks like the shape of a D. Like the hard part is the, front side of the D, and then the handle is the D part. But the D handles, the bands that have those for shoulder raises, etc., those are really great bands to have on hand. And even again, if you're in between weights, resistance bands can be really helpful for progressive overload too. So Um, have some bands on hand in addition to your dumbbells. That's all kind of wrapped into number one that I would buy. Number two is a barbell, bench, and plates. This is so helpful. And I actually added this like literally within the last like 6 months or so to my own weights. I didn't have a regular like standard Olympic barbell. Now I do, and then also a bench and plates. So this you could buy in tandem with the dumbbells, and that would be great if you have the budget for it, or you can buy it later as the budget allows. A lot of my clients, they only have dumbbells at home, and that's fantastic to start. As you are getting stronger, again, especially for lower body things like deadlifts, you're probably going to end up wanting more weight, and I find it easier to load up a barbell than buying a bunch more dumbbell ranges. So I highly recommend the barbell. And then you can keep adding and purchasing plates to put on the barbell as you get stronger and as the budget allows. I would recommend starting with two 5 pound plates, two 10 pound plates, and two 25 pound plates, as well as two 45 pound plates. If you can, again, if you can afford that, I would go ahead and grab all of those. And you should be pretty set with that for a while. But you could even start with less plates. Again, if you're like, okay, the budget this month only allows for me to buy a barbell. Awesome. Great. Start with the barbell. And then, next month, grab some more plates. Or maybe you start with the barbell and like 5, 10s, and 25s. And then as you're getting stronger, you can, purchase some 45 pound plates to have on hand too. So those are really helpful. And then, of course, a bench to go with the barbell and plates. That's going to be helpful too, especially if you're trying to do like hip thrusts at home. Even like if you're doing something like lunges, like Bulgarian split squats using the bench. And then, of course, any like upper body exercises using a bench too. Really, really helpful. But again, I will say if right now all you can get is dumbbells, you don't even need a bench at home. Go use your coffee table, like go use your floor. You don't even have to buy a bench right away. But this is the next thing that I would buy is your barbell, your bench, and your plates. And again, a lot of options are linked for you in my Amazon storefront, so you can see what I'm talking about. The plates, I will say, I think I put some in that Amazon link for you guys to look at, but I think we actually bought ours from Walmart. So we shopped around for best prices. I prefer the plates that have handles. They're like black wheels, black barbell plates, but they have handles that you can hold on to. I just think it's easier to load and unload the bar that way. But a lot of people prefer the bumper plates, especially if you're more of like my CrossFit chica. You probably like the bumper plates more. I'm not dropping weight over here, and I just think it's easier to have the handles on the plates. So that's the type that I get. And I have those shown for you. But that's number two, what I would order. And honestly, just even with that, you were pretty set. So that's a great starting point. The third thing I would buy is a squat rack. So if you have a barbell, bench, and plates, you can do, Romanian deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, like a lot of more heavier lower body stuff. But it is hard to really increase your weight for squats. And you can't, because you're not going to be able to like load up a barbell and then like throw it up over your shoulders and put it on your back for squats. Like, not going to happen. You're not going to be able to use heavy weight doing that. So a squat rack is so helpful. And again, I purchased one more recently because I was working out at the gym most of the time. So if I ever had to do a home workout, I was like, oh, I'll just use my dumbbells at home. No big deal. But working out from home every day now, I was like, I need a squat rack stat. So I got me one. And ideally, I would get one that has a pull up bar overhead because you should be doing some pull ups, right? Even if they're assisted pull ups, that's what your bands are for. Ideally, I would get one with a pull up bar overhead, but you can also get like a heavy duty cage or power rack, or you can get like a very basic frame that literally just holds the bar. Like, it's just super basic. It doesn't have an overhead thing. It just has, it's literally a frame that will hold the bar up for you so you can get under the bar and do squats. That's it. It's much cheaper. But like I said, it doesn't have the overhead pull-up bar. And if you are looking to do pull-ups and you want just a cheaper, easier to move frame for squats, you can also purchase a pull-up bar to place in a door frame. And I don't know if this is in my Amazon link or not, but I'll add it for you guys so you can see. So you can literally, put a pull-up bar into a door frame in your house and do pull-ups from that. So you don't necessarily need a squat rack with the pull-up bar if you have that, but I prefer it. So Or you can do like an in between option, which is like the one that I have, that it does have an overhead pull up bar, but it isn't as big or expensive as some of the heavy duty power racks. Like some of these racks, you guys are. They are a little pricey, worth it if you prefer that, especially again, if you're maybe like my CrossFit chick. But I prefer something a little bit sleeker, also the a little bit, less expensive was a nice feature too. And just something that's not going to be so heavy and hard to move. Those were things I was looking at. But I did want the overhead pull up bar and I wanted it to feel stable and secure. So anyway, I think I have mine listed. I do have that listed in my Amazon link. So you can go check out the one that I personally have. So a squat rack is number 3. The next thing I would get. Number 4 is a cable machine. I freaking love ours. You can also find some squat racks that are dual cable machine too, but I prefer having these two pieces separate so that I can more easily do supersets like without having the barbell get in the way. If say I'm like trying to do a squat, a barbell back squat using the squat rack, I can use my separate cable machine at the same time without having to like adjust things or take off the barbell and plates, right? Our cable machine actually came from Costco, I believe, if you have a Costco near you, or maybe like a Sam's Club or something like that. We got ours on a really great sale, like many years ago now, but I have one included on my Amazon storefront just so you can see what I'm talking about. One that's like very similar to ours, but I would shop around for this and just recommend looking for one that has 2 pulley spots. So one pulley on each side with an overhead like pull up bar in between. I love the cable machine and like I hardly feel like I need to go to the gym now that I have a barbell, dumbbells, a squat rack and cables. Like I feel pretty set. Like that's pretty much all I used at the gym anyway, with the exception of like some random machines and the Smith machine, which I do miss the Smith machine, especially for hip thrusts. But I'm like, meh, I can still do all of this at home. And now that I have like the cables and squat rack, I'm like, I'm golden. That's pretty much what I did at the gym anyway. So, along with the cable machine, you can keep adding attachments as you wish. So the cables, obviously, there's different attachment pieces that you can use for different exercises. Keep adding them as you go along, but I would probably start with a rope for sure. Get a cable, like a rope attachment. That's probably one of my most used attachments. Get 2 D handle attachments and a straight bar, like for bicep curls or tricep pushdowns, and an ankle strap for kickbacks. Those would be the top attachments that I would pick. There's plenty of others, but those are the ones that I personally use the most and also program for my clients the most is using those attachments. So keep adding to those as well. If you get a cable machine, that's great. And then I think we're on number 5. The next thing I would get, which I actually recently got myself, is a leg extension or slash a seated leg curl machine. And I think ours actually you can move the bar pad to do hip thrusts on it too, which is cool. I haven't played with that yet, but this is not a must have by any means for a home gym. This is getting a little bit fancier, but super nice bonus to have, especially for building them quads. I am personally, that's a goal of mine right now is to build my quad muscles up and get them more defined. And leg extensions are like one of the best ways to do that. So I was like, I really need this and want this. Maybe not need, really want this machine at home. Because that's probably what I would miss from the gym the most right now. So there are cheaper versions and a little pricier versions, and you really do get what you pay for, but shop around. Like I have some listed on my Amazon storefront. But we personally went with one of the slightly cheaper ones. And then we put it together and we realized the bar pad is actually a little annoying to adjust if you're doing leg curls, like hamstring leg curls. That top bar pad, like you have to manually screw it in and adjust it every time you sit down, which is kind of annoying. And what wouldn't have been an issue if we had paid the extra money. I think it was like an extra 100 or $150 for a little bit nicer one, but it's all good. This one still gets the job done. So again, shop around for it. I'll list some examples for you, but a leg extension slash hamstring leg curl, seated leg curl option is a beautiful bonus to have at home if you're really committed to the home gym, garage gym life. And then number 6, last but not least, Something I don't currently have, but would be very nice to have, definitely a very nice bonus, would be a Smith machine. I do miss the Smith from the gym. That's like for anyone who's like, wait, what are you talking about? That's like the squat rack that's more stable because you slide up and down on it. The barbell slides up and down and you can't detach the barbell. So it's a much more stable squat lunge option. Not necessary if you have a regular squat rack. And I actually prefer a regular squat rack for things like squats versus the Smith machine because I feel like I use and engage my core more when I'm doing an unassisted squat in a Smith machine. Doing it in a regular squat rack where I'm not having that stabilization forces me and forces you to use your core more to stabilize. But with that being said, if you have a hard time, maybe you're don't have great balance or something like that, a Smith machine can be a great alternative to a squat rack too. Um, Something I do really miss for sure are things like hip thrusts or even lunges or split squats using the Smith machine. But again, all of those exercises you can do if you have a barbell and a squat rack. So I don't have a Smith machine myself at home. It's also like a much bulkier piece of equipment and probably a pain in the butt to move if you ever have to move it. So one of those things that like unless if you are solidly set where you're living, like I would not probably purchase this if you're renting or going to have to move soon. Like I would probably hold this one off. But something maybe down the road when we're in our forever home, maybe I'd get a Smith machine, is all I'm saying. Something I really enjoy, but we still have a gym membership. I'll just use the Smith machine at the gym. No big deal. Also, number seven, actually, this one I should have listed earlier on, but a treadmill or a walking pad is super handy to get your steps in, especially if you live somewhere that is especially rainy or hot or snowy or cold, which is like everywhere basically. It gets, rainy, hot, snowy, or cold at some point. But I 1,000% prefer walking outside. And we live now in Utah in a beautiful area to walk outdoors, like absolutely epic. So I always want to walk outside if I can. But even still, sometimes it's too windy. Like we get crazy wind where we're at. To walk outside, or maybe Ryder is napping and I need to stay close by, or it's too late and dark and I don't feel safe walking outside by myself, or whatever. And our walking pad has come in super handy for those moments. I just used it the other night because Justin didn't want to go for an evening walk with me. And I was like, I ain't walking out in this darkness by myself. So let me just pull out the walking pad while we watch TV and let me get my mile in real quick. Super, super helpful. And they are super reasonably priced too. So I bought mine personally from Amazon and it's linked in my storefront as well. But you can shop around for these too. A walking pad, more so for the person who's just looking to get some steps in. If you're someone who likes to run and enjoys running or more high intensity cardio using a treadmill, then I would recommend like a regular treadmill, not the walking pad, because you can't run on that. But for my purposes, I'm a walker over here. I am not a runner. The walking pad has been great for us. And then also, you guys, last but not least, there's a lot of creative ways to use this equipment, and I continue to find new ways to use the barbell and dumbbells and everything. Like you want to make sure that you're using good form, especially if you're trying like new ways to use the equipment. But for instance, recently I actually turned our barbell and squat rack into a glute hyperextension or a back extension machine, like at the gym, where you get on it and you like lean over it and you can do a back extension slash, glute hyperextension exercise. I wanted that machine at home because I'm like, oh, I want to hit my glutes in that way. And I can't really replicate that with something like a squat or with dumbbells or whatever. And I was like, oh, let me see if there's a way to, turn my barbell and rack into like a hyperextension option. And I did. All I had to do was turn the barbell handles around on the barbell or on the squat rack, place the barbell on there around hip height. I have a bar pad. Oh, that's another piece of equipment I would get is a bar pad so you don't break your hips for hip thrusts or even like this, like the hyperextension. Placed my bar pad on there, I didn't even place weights on there. I just had the barbell on there. And then I grabbed a 25-pound plate to hold at my chest and then, leaned over the barbell, which was secured into the squat rack and was able to do hyperextensions like that, which was really fun. I was like, yay, this is awesome. Something at home that replicates what I can do in the gym too. Or, for instance, a simpler thing to describe, I used the cable machine and put the cables about, I sat down on a bench in front of the cables and put them out in front of me about belly button height. While I was sitting and using D handles, I was able to do a seated row, just like I would with a cable machine at the gym that has a seated row option. So many creative ways you can use this equipment. You can follow me if you don't already on social media to see how I use some of it. I have like highlights on my profile. I post to my stories with my workouts, all kinds of stuff. So go check that out. Go check out my Amazon storefront. Feel free to message me if you're like, hey, is this a good option? I'm literally happy to be like, I would look for this, or no, I would get this one instead. Oh, that's great. Go for it. So anyway, if you have questions, please let me know. Anyway, that's all, folks. I hope that was helpful for those of you who want to work out from home, because maybe that's more realistic for you, or you already are working out at home and want to just soup up your home gym. And if you want a coach to help with your training programming and nutrition, that is exactly what we do at Fitness Uncharted. And I would say at least 50% of our clients work out from home, maybe even 60% or more work out from home. So we can tailor your program to that equipment that you have available, and also what will realistically work with your routine. Like some weeks it's only 3 workouts, other weeks maybe it's 4 or 5 workouts, right? So we'll program to what you have available, what's realistic with your routine, your lifestyle, and your goals. And if you want to talk about coaching, you can book a free strategy call with me using the link in the show notes. Otherwise, make it an amazing day, and I will catch you on the next episode.